name is Jo Edmonds. I'm a primary school teacher from Wakefield in Yorkshire.
I'm Warren Mason, a building management student from Bolton in Lancashire.
My name is Paulette Greenidge, PhD chemistry student from Luton in Bedfordshire.
I'm Jim Scheckter. I run a marketing company in Northwood, Middlesex.
Good evening and welcome to the Krypton Factor. Last week we found our first grand finalist of the series with the exciting climax to Group A. Tonight we begin the search to fill another of those 4 grand final places with the first heat in Group B. Ahead lie 6 of the toughest rounds designed to test a range of mental and physical abilities. And this year with a double incentive: the thrill of going to California to tackle a simulated landing of the American space shuttle, which only our 4 grand finalists will undertake, and the glory of lifting the Krypton trophy to become United Kingdom Superperson 1989. Right, let's get this heat underway by wishing our 4 new challengers, Jo Edmonds, Warren Mason, Paulette Greenidge and Jim Scheckter, the very best of luck. And contestants, headphones on please now to cut out any distraction. And here we go then with round 1, mental agility. And for tonight's test, we return to time intervals of varying types. I will give a contestant some information from which he or she can work out the time, date, day or month to which I'm referring. For instance, if I said 17 months after March, the reply would be August. Or if I said 42 seconds before 2 o'clock, then the correct reply would be 1:59 and 18 seconds. Fairly tortuous way to start a heat, but as usual, this is a speed test and each contestant must give me as many answers as he or she can in 40 seconds. Now we begin with you, Jo, and your 40 seconds start now. 1 hour, 10 minutes before 7 o'clock.
5:50.
6 days before Wednesday.
Tuesday.
Wrong. How many days between Thursday and Saturday?
1.
3/4 of an hour after 9:40.
10:25.
5 days before October the 2nd.
September the 27th.
8 months after October.
June.
11 days before Wednesday.
Saturday.
1 week before April the 6th. Don't need to answer that, it would have been March the 30th, but a good start for you, Jo. In 40 seconds you've got 6 right. Very good. We move on to Warren. Your 40 seconds start now. 2 hours, 40 minutes before 5 o'clock.
2:20.
The number of days between Friday and the next Wednesday.
4.
5 days before Friday.
Sunday.
9 months after July.
April.
1/4 of an hour after 4:50.
5:05.
4 days before January the 3rd.
December the 30th.
1 week before July the 4th.
June the 27th.
13 days before Monday.
Tuesday.
7 months before March. Don't need to answer that, would have been August, but great start, Warren. In 40 seconds you've got 8 right. Congratulations. And we shall move straight on now to Paulette. Stand by. Your 40 seconds start now. How many days between Tuesday and Sunday?
4.
8 days before Wednesday.
Monday.
Wrong. 1 hour, 30 minutes before 11 o'clock.
9:30.
3 days before September the 1st.
August 29th.
3/4 of an hour after 8:40.
9:25.
7 months after August.
March.
12 days before Thursday. Well, don't have to answer it. Would have been Saturday, and good start for you. In 40 seconds, you've got 5 right. Well done, Paulette. And finally, we go to Jim. Your 40 seconds, Jim, Start now. 6 days before Saturday.
Sunday.
45 minutes before 3:20.
2:40.
Wrong. The number of days between Saturday and Friday.
5.
A quarter of an hour after 6:55.
7:10.
9 months after October.
July.
6 days before February the 3rd.
January the 28th.
1 week before May the 2nd.
April the 26th.
It was, in fact, the 25th, but you're too late anyway. But in 40 seconds, you got 5 right. Well done, Jim. The usual tough start to the contest, and again, very good scores. Let's look at the scoreboard to see how it all worked out. And there it is for all of you to see. And the early leader with a Krypton factor of 10 is Bolton's Warren Mason. Round 2, where the exciting challenge is to land Britain's supersonic airliner Concorde. And for this exacting test of coordination, nerve and skill, the contestants will take the controls in the £8 million simulator at British Aerospace near Bristol. British Airways Concorde captain Stuart Robertson is the instructor and adjudicator. The approach is into Kennedy Airport, New York. And at the controls for the first attempt is Joe Edmonds, primary school teacher from Wakefield, and that ADI instrument tells her what to do. The vertical yellow bar moving left tells her to fly left. The horizontal bar moves up and down depending on whether you need to ascend or descend. And that's not a good sign out of the window. The captain looks slightly anxious because there's no sign of the runway. And she's enjoying the moment now in the studio, but it was very tense there at the time, and now there's plenty of sky. She's lifted the nose and she's just flying off into space, and so unfortunately we've got to abort that flight, which is a great pity.
400 feet.
Warren Mason next. The runway nicely ahead this time, just trying to keep it steady.
Feet.
It's such a tense, nerve-wracking time for contestants. Indeed, they all emerge from the simulator with their hands shaking from the tension of it all. And of all the different types of simulators we use on Krypton, Concorde is the one the contestants find the most difficult. But Warren coping well. He's just a little bit to the left and corrects nicely.
50, 40, 30, 20,
Coming in over the centre line, and he's virtually there, just dropping the nose, and in fact he's done. Well done, Warren. Kept his nerve, controlled it well. Paulette Greenwich. She's a Manchester PhD student, and not descending as she should, needs to push forward on the control column and head down towards that runway. And now veering off to the left, so she needs to steer back right, which she's trying desperately to do.
100.
But she's in all sorts of trouble. The warning lights are going off all over the place, and it's going into a steep dive now and banking left. And that's a bad crash. Hard luck, Paulette.
400 feet.
Finally, Jim Schechter from Northwood, Middlesex. Doing very well at this stage. The runway's straight ahead.
300 feet.
He's working hard on that control column. Needs to make sure, of course, that he doesn't overcorrect. But so
200
far,
feet.
so good.
100
Coming
feet.
in right on the centre line,
50,
perhaps a bit
40,
low.
30, 20.
Needs to pull back a bit on the control column as he concentrates so hard. And he's corrected it nicely on that centre line and lands perfectly just on the right spot in the runway, trying to keep it straight. But that's a great performance by Jim Schechter, and he'll be very pleased with himself there. Great stuff. And now the result. Here's how Captain Robertson judged the Concorde flights. In 4th place, Joe Edmonds never had the runway in sight and flew up instead of down. 3rd, Paulette Greenwich, an erratic approach which ended in loss of control and a crash. 2nd, Warren Mason, a few corrections on the approach but a good landing on the runway. And the winner, Jim Schechter, an excellent approach and a very good touchdown right on the centre line. All those points then go into the scoreboard, and Jim Schechter has moved into 2nd place, just 2 points behind the leader, who with a Krypton factor of 16 is still Bolton's Warren Mason. Our new style observation round now, which measures how much visual and verbal detail registers in your mind when you see some action. We're about to show you and our contestants a short, specially made sketch. You'd only see it once, but during that screening, 6 deliberate continuity errors will take place. They will be in what you see or in what you hear, the way things are done, and in how we handle important and specific information. So, turn to your screens now, please, contestants. Concentrate very hard as we watch this specially shot thriller.
Operation Baker. We've planned out all the moves on the blackboard. This is the big one. We thought we had it sussed before, but we didn't have enough manpower. Yeah, a lot of people got hurt last time, but this time we've got it right. This patch has been a playground for criminals for too long. They should be coming any minute now. Are you in position, Agent 22?
Yeah, but what if they come the back way, Guff?
They can't, it's blocked, but they don't know that. Not a lot of people know that. OK, everybody, synchronise.
The Mickey Mouse hand is just past Goofy's nose. And Goofy's foot is just coming up to Mickey's ear. What's that make?
Look, Agent 32, in this game you have to keep your wits about you. We want experience, we want precision. You're not in kindergarten now. Now, if a hand is just coming up to 11, then it's 5 to 4. This is it. If anybody wants out, now's the time to go. I suppose I always knew that in the end, it'd be down to me when it came to tackling the big boys. It's going to be quite a morning. Straight up, walk! Franklin, detention tomorrow. Simpkins, leave him alone, he's only a first year. You win some, you lose some. Not a lot of people know that. Carter!
That's the lot. Turn to the front now, please, contestants. And will you start to write down what you think the 6 continuity errors were? And that will take a few moments, so let me now thank Steve Coogan, who's probably still battling it out in that playground. And if you'd like to check your own answers to that sketch, well, here come all 6 changes. Number 1 was the agent's number.
Are you in position, Agent 22?
But it wasn't Agent 22 later on.
Look, Agent 32, for this game you need to keep your wits about you.
Then a change in the way Agent 22 wore his watch. It altered from on top of his wrist to the reverse side. The second agent's scarf provided continuity error number 3. It disappeared after the opening of the sketch. Then a props difference. Michael Caine's walkie-talkie changed from a very large one to a much more compact version. The milk bottles by the dustbin were a deliberate mistake, number 5. They disappeared towards the end of the sketch. And finally, a dialogue inaccuracy. The opening caption said 3:55 p.m, but Caine said clearly,
it's going to be quite a morning.
Well, did you get them all? These are the contestants' answer cards, and while I can reveal that no one spotted all 6, one of them almost did. I'll now tell them how well they scored. Paulette, you got 3 right, so you're in 4th place. Joe, you got 4 right, and Warren, you also got 4 right, so the 2 of you share 2nd place. But Jim did best of all, getting 5 and winning the round. And we shall immediately enter those points into the scoreboard. And, well, that has truly helped Jim, because the brand new leader now with a Krypton factor of 24 is the man from Northwood, Middlesex, Jim Schechter. Round 4 takes us out to the Krypton Factor Assault Course, built specially for this programme, but used throughout the year by the Army. And usually the soldiers charge over those 20 tough obstacles in full Army uniform and carrying heavy backpacks. So perhaps we're not too cruel to our contestants after all.
Take your marks!
Major Tony Carr starts the race and taking advantage of the handicap system. Joe Edmonds nearest to us, a primary school teacher from Wakefield. And on the far side, Paulette Greenwich, Manchester PhD student. And going now to the rope swing. Oh, over she goes. That's one way of doing it, but it's not the perfect technique. She, in fact, allowed Joe Edmonds to go ahead there because of that, but is finding her way back now and is almost level once more. Both determined young ladies, but these two men are equally determined. Nearest to us is Warren Mason, and on the far side, Jim Schechter. Both very fit. Warren Mason keen on the triathlon, and on the far side, Jim Schechter, a former Great Britain water polo player. But it's Paulette Greenwich who has gone into the lead now, a few strides ahead of Joe Edmonds. And let's see now what she makes of the second rope swing after her problems with the first, and she does that very nicely indeed. Now, Jim Schechter in third place, just ahead of Warren Mason, but they're definitely closing the gap on Paulette here, who was a high jumper at junior level, so all the right qualifications for this course. And Jim and Warren using each other as pacemakers, that'll help them all the way down the course. Just taking it easy at this stage. It's very easy to go far too fast at the beginning and run out of steam at the end, and they're pacing it nicely. Paulette, though, still has quite a good lead over them as she climbs up there. She was also a hurdler at junior level, so she is quite an athlete, and the question is, has she got the strength to hold on here as she climbs up to the top of that scramble net? Now note, as she's going over the top, the two men have yet to get to the bottom of it and start climbing, so her lead is pretty good. It all now depends on her stamina at the end of the race. Jim Schechter there has gone into second place, and Warren Mason now into third place, so Joe is left back in fourth place. And they are definitely closing on Paulette as she gets to the bottom of that scramble net. So Warren goes over in second place and Jim in third place, and it's a good battle between those two because Jim will want to be ahead of Warren as far as the overall situation is concerned. Through the water now for Paulette, and you can see she's tiring, hardly the strength to get up that inverted V, whereas look at this man, Warren is really opening out now. He's obviously paced this race beautifully and he's left a lot for the finish, and he's going up now into the lead, I would say. In a couple more strides he'll be ahead as Joe goes to the second of the water jump, still hanging in there, and Warren is in the lead ahead of Paulette, and that's a nasty mistake by Joe. She's down in the water, but she picks herself up. She's not injured, but it's a bit of a shock for her as Warren comes down the aerial slide, just thinking now about his landing, about how he's going to place those feet as he hits the water. Up go the knees, and that's perfectly done. He's really finishing so strongly here. And Paulette hits the water in second place. Not such a good landing because, in fact, she pitched forward at the end of it. So she's going to fight it out with Jim Schechter for second place because I doubt whether they can catch Warren Mason. Paulette well ahead now of Jim in second place, is having difficulty getting his hands out of the safety straps. But here comes the winner, Warren Mason, judged the whole race magnificently and gets 10 well-earned points. And now who's going to get second place? Jim is back in there. His strength is beginning to show under that net. Will his legs hold him? They do indeed. He comes across in second place, 6 points, snatches second place from Paulette, who is third with 4 points. Pity for her because she ran so well and just faded at the end. But we will now go to the scoreboard and a change again at the top. Back into the lead with a Krypton factor now of 32. Bolton student Warren Mason. Well, 2 rounds to go and a real seesaw battle developing in the lead there. This is the intelligence round featuring a 2-dimensional logic puzzle. In front of each of our contestants is a light box and a number of sections displaying parts of a compass. Their task is to arrange those sections in the frame so that they form the face of a compass. And finally, put in place the needle, which must point due north. Are you all ready, contestants? The test starts now. These are logic puzzles, and the logical start is to build from the bottom up so that all the sections are supported. And Warren's onto that right away, the S for south in place, but wrong with the southeast section, should be on the other side. Yeah, Jim's got his southwest in the right position. That's good, but Paulette here starting from the top, which means she's got to hold on to the pieces with one hand, and that could be difficult. Joe Edmonds in third place going into the round, desperately needing to do well here, and that's pretty good. Warren corrected his southeast mistake now. Of course, it's easy to make those mistakes because looking down on that compass, you've actually got to reverse everything in your mind. Jim, not as good as it looks. A couple of errors there. He's got some west sections on the east side, so he's trying to sort that out now. Paulette. Well, she's really struggling, I'm afraid. Still working from the top down, and, well, really she's got a long way to go, an awful lot of work to do, which is a pity because she does need some high points here. But this looks good. Joe Edmonds, only a couple of pieces left to slot in. That's one of them. And there's the other one. Now, just the needle, which must point due north. And there it is. 10 points. Great performance and a winning smile if ever there was one. Jim still trying to sort out those problems, although he's nearly there now. But he's not going to beat Warren Mason, who finishes in second place and gets 6 points. Well done. Still checking it, but it's right. And Jim Schechter is in third place with 4 points. Well, that's what could be described as a magnetic performance by Jo. She gets the maximum points, takes her back into contention, as we'll see when we go to the scoreboard and check on the leadership. And in fact, he has increased his lead to 4 points now with a Krypton factor of 38. It's Bolton's Warren Mason. So, the last stage of this ding-dong battle for victory, the 6th and final round. At the end of it, the outright winner will go through to the group final, and there's a chance for the runner-up too, if his or her score is high enough. 100 seconds of rapid-fire general knowledge questions, 2 points for a right answer, 2 points off for a wrong one. Ready on the buzzers, contestants? The clock starts now. Which bird in mythology is said to renew itself by burning to... Jo?
Phoenix.
Correct. In the phonetic alphabet used for radio messages, the letter H is represented by which word? Jo?
Hotel.
Correct. What was the first name of the hotelier played by John Cleese in Fawlty Towers? Jim?
Basil Fawlty.
Correct. Borage, basil, coriander and burnet are all what? Jo?
Herbs.
Correct. Who succeeded Herbert Henry Asquith as Prime Minister in 1916 and was called the Welsh Paulette?
Lloyd George.
Correct. During which war was the George Cross first awarded for gallantry by Jo?
First World War.
No, Second World War. Who declined an Oscar for playing Second World War General Patton in a 1970 film? Answer, George C. Scott. The Scot, Finlay Calder, was chosen this year as captain of which touring? Jo? Quickly.
The Lions.
It is the British Lions. The Lion of Judah is the nickname of which emperor of Ethiopia? Paulette.
Haile Selassie.
Correct. What was the former name of Sellafield British Nuclear Fuels Reprocessing? Warren?
Windscale.
Correct. What was the occupation of Sir Francis Beaufort, who devised the wind scale named after him? The answer is Admiral. Who wrote the plays The Admirable Crichton, Mary Rose and Peter Pan? Warren?
J.M. Barrie.
Correct. Which barrier was officially opened in May 1980? Paulette?
Thames.
Correct. In The Tempest, who is the father of Miranda and rightful Duke of Milan? Answer is Prospero. Which area of the Yukon became suddenly prosperous in 1896 after... Jim?
Alaska.
No, the Klondike. Which dike or earthwork... That's it. The end of the round, the end of the contest. The winner tonight with a Krypton factor of 42. The student from Bolton, Warren Mason. Well, the end of a great battle, and our congratulations on that splendid victory to Warren, which, of course, takes him into the Group B final in 3 weeks' time. And Jim has set the standard for the best runner-up place in that final. He'll be there unless that score of 34 is beaten in the next 2 weeks. From all the contestants here, and from me, good night.
In half an hour, the Butch Boys of Bounty Hunting, led by Dog, are trampling across the USA on the hunt for more trailer trash. Next, though, it's more Krypton Factor.